So why was God about to send the flood? If you love the Bible, just click follow. When most people think about Noah, they of course think about the ark. They think about the animals entering two by two. They think about rain covering the earth and a flood unlike anything the world had ever seen. But before Noah had even built the ark, something else was going on. God looked at the earth that he had created and he saw that it was heartbreaking. Genesis tells us that the wickedness of man had become so great, with violence and corruption spreading everywhere, that the world that God created was becoming consumed in sin. Think about how it all began. A single act of disobedience in the Garden of Eden. Then Cain murdered Abel, Lamech boasted about murder, and now generations later, violence and wickedness have spread throughout the earth. The problem was no longer one family. The problem was humanity. Then Genesis records one of the most sobering statements of all of Scripture. God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Not occasional evil, not occasional corruption. The thoughts were so consumed by violence and rebellion against God. And then comes one of the saddest verses in the Bible. Genesis says that it grieved God at his heart. God created humanity, and he was grieved by what humanity had become. His images were destroying one another, and they were getting further and further from him, and that judgment was definitely coming. But in the middle of that darkness, Genesis gives us a glimpse of hope. One man stood apart from the world around him. One man found favor with God. One man would become the center of the next chapter in the story. His name was Noah. And Genesis tells us, but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Next time we'll meet Noah and discover why one man found grace when the entire world was headed toward